Our mission, Helping Parents Heal, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Marilyn. Thank you again for being here.
We are truly thrilled. And before we have Marilyn speak, I'm just going to say a little bit about her, because I know that a lot of people got to hear about her last time when she was speaking. But for those who haven't been able to, and also for people who are watching this video without knowing, Marilyn Kapp had her first experience communicating with those who passed when she was just 2 years old. She recalls watching her grandfather leave his body at the time of his physical death, hearing his promise that he would come back. True to his word, he appeared and communicated often throughout Marilyn's childhood. Marilyn assumed that all people shared this ability. It was a shock to learn that not everyone had this perception. With her mother's support, she continued to receive out-of-body communication, but learned to keep it to herself. While pursuing a Bachelor of Arts at Boston University, Marilyn was fortunate to study with Nobel Peace Prize laureate and acclaimed author Eli Wiesel. He became a friend and mentor. Marilyn went on to receive a Master of Arts from Emerson College in Boston while continuing her studies with Professor Wiesel. His encouragement helped her realize that pursuing and developing her ability as a medium would facilitate healing between those in the physical body and those in spirit. His gentle counsel led Marilyn to a new comfort level with her gift. I am just so thrilled that she's here, and there's a lot more information that I will be putting on the information about her on this video, but you can learn more about her by visiting www.marilynkapp.com, and I will put that in the chat box. But without further ado, please join me in welcoming Marilyn Kapp.
Thank you so much, and I really appreciate this opportunity. And I didn't know that a group like this exists, and I think it's the most wonderful, wonderful thing. I mean, it's a godsend. It just is incredible. So this morning I woke up and I looked up and I said, okay, kids, you know, what do all your kids want me to talk about today? And I got hit on the head very quickly with the word languaging. And they reminded me that their communication with you as their parents was nonverbal at the beginning. Maybe you felt communication before conception, or maybe you felt somebody coming in, whether they were adopted or came in through some alternative means. The soul knows where the soul is going, and the communication is open. Most of us feel things, you know, when a baby starts moving or when the baby is in our arms. But think about after that, when you're holding this child, there's so much communication that's nonverbal. Everything is this innate communication that all of you have. The reason they wanted to talk about languaging is we rely on it so much. We come into this planet and we're used to the language of energy. We're used to communicating energetically, telepathically, and we're distracted by the beautiful sounds and the magic of the earth plane, and we learn languaging. But if you notice that babies, when you hold them, very often love to look above your heads and smiling and laughing. And when I see that happening, I look to where the babies are looking, and they're looking at the loved ones who are out of body, who they were with before they came in. They remember this communication. I believe all babies do. Then there are a lot of kids who remember it. You know, it's interesting. We're advised to ask our children if we're interested in this kind of thing to ask if they remember what happened before birth, if they remember what happened between lives or before coming in. And it's a really interesting time, especially when kids are becoming verbal and they can explain it to you, but the verbal stuff, it's rather a limitation. So I started thinking about channeling itself, and the way I experience channeling, I will, and it just feels very normal. It's like just perception, the same perception we have in the in-body kind of frequency. And it's very similar. I'll get a combination of words, pictures, mostly a lot of physical cues, a lot of waves of emotion. So what happens is it feels like there's this big funnel. And in fact, one of the little mantras I say before I start is help, please, you know, God guides people who are here for God's healing, both in body and out of body, angels, archangels, whoever wants to help, to ask that the funnel open up above my head so that it could all come in and I can whittle it down to something that I could deliver that will make sense to the person in front of me. So it feels like I'm an hourglass trying to distill into words what's coming in energetically. And I came to realize over the years that the words were merely a distraction, as powerful as they are, and proving to the person that their loved one is with them. As powerful as that is, I started to realize that the words were one small aspect of the amount of communication happening. If the person is in front of me, I can see their auric field. And when I see an out-of-body person, they look like an auric field, but without the body inside. But it's still shaped like a person, and you can see where it's almost like a reverse negative in old-timey ways where you can see the eyes a bit. And then it just feels like I'm downloaded with the information of what else they may have had green eyes or this or that. So they're giving that information. It's so interesting because again, it's if somebody says, you know, I'll pick up all these different cues and try to translate it into the language, and yet all the other cues are being, it's so interesting. If I have an agenda of what I want to talk about, they start chiming in. So that's kind of cool. They want me to go back to the fact that I will watch parents, and when their loved one is next to them, as the loved one is talking and I'm channeling words, the auric field of the parent expands and the kid moves in, and there's this energetic dance happening, and it feels like sparkles and light, and you can see it happening, and you see the in-body person, the parent, react and just, you know, it's like they're getting the wave, they're getting the hug, and that goes so far beyond what the words are. So they wanted me to use an example. I think this one is in the book, and this young man came in and said, well, talk about this one, because, you know, he started a reading with his mom by saying, you got the blue sneakers. I want you to get the blue sneakers, and you got them. And she was aghast. It's like, what? You know, yes, I bought blue sneakers. Why? What? You know, and he said, well, I'm proving that I'm with you, but I want to prove something else. Why did you buy those blue sneakers? And she said, well, I kept going back and forth between the blue ones and the purple ones, but I got this overwhelming feeling of well-being whenever I picked them up. And he said, Mom, I hugged you. I like those better. And I was playing with you and they're comfy. So I hugged you whenever you looked at them. And she said, I didn't really understand what it was, but I kept getting that wave or that emotion, that feeling. And she wasn't cognizant of it until he said it. So I was thinking about it this morning, and he said, you know, the mistake would be if she came away with it with, oh, the medium said, he said, you bought the sneakers. That's really not what it's about. How I channeled it in and translated it is what happened to her already in real time when she was getting the sneakers. In other words, she was channeling. Everybody has that ability. So even if I'm, you know, channeling words, it's coming in a telepathic way. And what stronger union can there be than between parent and child? You know, you feel so much of what's going on for them. You're tuned into them, you know, regardless of how they came to you energetically. It's the same way. The soul knows how it's coming in. But there's so much that's this strong and beautiful communication, and that doesn't end. Kids out there get very frustrated when the parent feels, or the person, if it's somebody else that they're looking to channel, gets frustrated with themselves because they feel they're not doing it correctly, fast enough. And there are patterns that I've found, and I've talked to other mediums, and they find the same thing. And a lot of it has to do not just with our learning curve, but it has to do with their learning curve as well. Very often they'll come in dreams. And so 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100 times, almost all the time, the person out of body will say, you could see me, you could feel me, it was visceral. It's like you could taste it, you could feel it, but you don't remember a word. And that's come in so often that I asked about it, and they said, well, communicating the words is the toughest part. We've already got this energetic interaction. That's my person. We know how to do this. So it's a learning curve on their end as well. So I think we have to be really careful to not blame ourselves for that. But like this mom, this communication is going on all the time. And the thing is to recognize that it's happening and have people like, I love during what you were talking about, that take what works and leave the rest. I absolutely agree with that. Take what works for you and leave the rest. But there are patterns that emerge, so it might be helpful to hear some of the things that come through. It's all vibrational. I talked about this last time a little bit. When we're grieving, our vibrational level is lower. People who are out of body vibrate at a higher frequency than we do. It's just the nature of it. We're more dense because we're in body, and there are good jokes about that, but they vibrate at a higher frequency, and it helps us to remember that we're vibrational beings having a physical experience. We're inside this body and we direct it and we're aligned and we're connected, but it helps to remember that we're not any less than when we're out of body. So we have this vibrational discrepancy between those we love who are out of body, and here we are in body, and we want to be able to have that communication. So intention is the number one thing. And actually not trying too hard is so, so important because, again, a lot of this, it isn't like I know anything. This has been channeled in a lot. So really just take what works for you and again, leave the rest. But it seems as if when we work too hard with our mind, we can get in our own way. If I stop and think about what channeling is, I would just get in my own way. So I don't think about it at all. I ask them what they want me to do and I try to be available, and that's it. So, and the thing is, the actual channeling is joyful. I have yet to meet a child that did not know how to make their parent laugh, which to me seems like the ultimate miracle because, I am in the joy and in the emotion of the person channeling in. I'll cry on my own time later because. But the thing is, they really want us to know if we think too hard or we get on our own case about doing it well enough, that will get in the way. It's been channeled in many times that, again, we're a soul operating the physical vehicle, and we operate through the mind, the heart, the gut, of course, all the chakras, all of that. But, the mind, as powerful as it is and as smart as we all are, the heart vibration and the gut instinct vibration, they vibrate at a higher frequency. So when the brain starts to take over and we get too logical about it, we're going to get in our own way. So it makes sense to not try too hard and to just try to observe. And also remember, these kids are working with us to try and do it with us. It's interesting because I had a revelation not too long ago. And again, it isn't like I've been doing this, since I'm 2 years old, but all of a sudden I had a thought that really helped me. I realized that English, or whatever language is the first language I learned, is not my first language, that my first language is energy. And I started to remember sitting and looking at vibrational fields, and I was always looking at out-of-body people. And I remember going to school and being so distracted by people's words because it got in the way of my perception. And then I would get in trouble for not listening, of course. So I spent a lot of time trying to listen and pushing the other stuff away, and eventually I gave it up. But it is hard to balance all of that when all this input is coming in. So remembering that English was the first language, it really made sense in that I heard this whisper come in, that's everybody. That's everybody. It's not just me. And it isn't just people who do this all the time. We all have everything. I don't have any moving parts that other people don't have. And it isn't just the desire to do it, it's the level of grief. There is so many things that we can do to raise our vibration right now during the pandemic, because, and I think I hit on this last time a little bit, I don't recall, but during the pandemic, you know, out-of-body people are there all the time, and guides. They're there to help us. They're not allowed to steal our growth. They're not allowed to steal our lessons that we're supposed to learn. And usually they are the most helpful if we ask. I was a very slow learner. If you read about it, I didn't know, I channeled for other people and didn't know to channel for me. And it was a big revelation. And that really helped. But the thing is that, it's so funny. There's a bunch of people talking here. Give me 1 second. They'll just jump right in and kind of move things around. When you're thinking of this, they want to go back to the language as a second language. Your kids' words are beautiful and they're wonderful, but again, they're being whittled down to be able to express what they want to express to you emotionally. And what they want to express to you emotionally, that language can be waves, it can be tingling, it can be the goosebumps, it could be anything. And it's okay, so they're right, they're all talking fast and they want to make sure I include everything. So let's go back to the COVID thing for a minute. Because they're not allowed to steal our growth and they will respond to us out there, of course, when we ask, and they're there to help us all the time. So, and it is humbling to ask, and we learn that it's okay to receive help, and that's all really wonderful. But right now, it's unprecedented. I've channeled in our recorded history that we've had a pandemic of this nature that's worldwide, and we have worldwide technology that links us to each other. And around the entire world, people are looking up and going, oh my God, help us, God help us, mom help us, this one help us. Even agnostics and atheists are looking up, even if they're not saying, hey, God help us, they're saying, what the hey? So many people are affected and unable to be with the people that they love who are passing, that energetically they are left raw and open, and just the desire, the pure desire to bridge that gap. So because the need is so great and so many people are looking up and asking for help, the entire spiritual realm has moved in more closely. I can feel it when I channel. A lot of people I know can feel it. Everything is accelerated now. It's an opportunity, as difficult as all of this has been. There's a vibrational opportunity, and I'm being told continually, I don't want to use the word easy because then it can make us feel like a failure when we're not getting it like that. But there's an opportunity now to be able to connect and hear in ways that are unprecedented just in the not too recent past, you know, in the pretty recent past. So that's one of the major things. When we're distracted, if you're driving, if you're tending to somebody else, I like ironing. I'm one of those weird people, but I download a lot of information when I'm ironing. I find that to be kind of zen. Of course, meditating, that's number one. There are so many ways to download information, but if you're looking for tools for information, of course, the electricity is always there. That electricity vibrates at a higher frequency than we do, the human body, and more closely to the kids out here who are looking to play with us. So they'll play with lights. As technology, one thing I like about being this old and doing it for this many years, technology, digital technology has come up, and it's incredible to really play with people out there with that. If you have any kind of device, if you have, you know, an MP3 or an iPod, or, you know, or you can even put on Spotify Mix. I'm amazed. My mom, who's been out of body now 11 years, will just cut a song short, put on something else because I'm asking her a question. They'll play with us, and people, even people who are pretty not so sure about their whole belief system with this, it's really so much fun. They can manipulate and do so much, especially within the realm of their own vibrational setting. So we have to remember that they're working really hard to get through to us and to let us know that they're okay. And they're doing it in ways that go beyond the words. So if you're sitting and thinking, okay, what are you saying? It might be getting in the way, and you could just allow yourself to feel. Like, I would be really curious, asking the question, how many of you have actually felt that feeling that your kid is near you, that they're right there, that they're leaning on you, that they're giving you a hug? Usually the very first thing that comes in when I'm doing sessions are, oh, you remember yesterday when you just stopped and you kind of held onto the counter and you got that feeling? Well, I was hugging you. And I do it all the time. Kids love to report that their parents are reactive, even if the parent doesn't understand that they are. So many people are having this interchange without consciously knowing that they're doing it. When you add the conscious component of just lightly looking and making that invitation, you bring it into consciousness and it expands, and it becomes what I look at as just the state of grace, where the synchronicity is coming in all the time. And it really makes sense that these kids are saying the basic thing is, it's a communication that is the birthright. It's the communication. These are your family. That love and that ability to know what's going on for them, to feel what's going on for them, doesn't change because they've gone out of body. Everything else changes. And they always talk about, we have to really acknowledge the grief, process the grief. Stuffing the grief makes us literally sick, and it lowers the vibration, so it gets in the way of being able to get the communication. So what do? You do both at the same time. You have a group like this and cry and emote and share, but then look up and say, hey. And you'll find, oh, it's really interesting. Well, not a lot of us, we're on lockdown here in California, so we're not going anywhere. But very often when people are driving, kids will come in and say, that conversation with me you were driving and we went back and forth, and then you went, what? And looked over and saw I wasn't physically there and you thought you were nuts. That was me. They'll repeat the conversation. So everything that you put out there is absolutely, everything is acknowledged. A couple of boys out there want me to talk about dogs. There are a couple of kids here in this group that are going out of their way to get the dogs to bark. A couple of them are using the stairs. A couple of them are using the door. Cats will communicate too. But it's really interesting. Animals do see out-of-body people. I don't know if you heard the meowing that was happening just when we started, because the cats were coming around. They like the energy. So animals are really wonderful because kids catch on pretty early. If they get the dog to, jump up, and they're doing it in a place where the treats aren't held and it isn't to go for a walk at the door, the parent's going to wonder what's going on here. And it's their kid trying to get the dog to let them know where they are. So that happens all the time. It's a network. It's a live network that's constantly happening. Because we're not using electricity or microwaves or the radio every minute, it doesn't mean those waves aren't there. Our kids are able to communicate with us through these waves and through their energy, and that energy is pure love. So that's what they wanted me to talk about. And it's really interesting. I went to change my clothes and look more professional, and like 4 kids kind of came over and said, no, leave this because it's Winnie the Pooh. And they wanted me to leave that on. So I'm working for them. It's really fascinating. They also wanted me to talk about something that I know I'm going kind of fast. Do we have time for questions if there's anything specific, or should I just keep going?
I'm unmuting myself. We have some time for questions. Normally we go for an hour. So we have 34 minutes or so that are left. And again, Marilyn, if we don't get through everything, we will also hopefully be able to have you back. So
good, because there's just so much to share. There's just so much to share. Okay, I'm looking.
And I just want to quickly tell you that everyone is in agreement with everything you say. Dogs are barking at empty spaces and staring. And let's see, Kim is from Winnipeg, home of the Winnie the Pooh. And there's just so many people that are agreeing with what you're saying. So thank you for doing that. And I'll mute myself so you can speak some more.
Well, it's, I'm sure a lot of you learned a lot this before I did. I learned it as I went about channeling, and it's the layers, that we're capable of doing, but it's also very important to forgive ourselves for that one thing. They don't want us carrying heavy um, guilt, whatever it is that went on. And there were so many and this is what I was about to say before, when I said we touched on this last time, and I pick up that there's several that are tuning in now, where they went out of body by their own hand, but not intentionally. Even though it might look extremely intentional, it might look completely planned out, and yet there's something inside the brain that the person who did this act, who took themselves out of body, were not fully cognizant of having done that and the magnitude of having done that. I always think of that song, I think it's U2, Stuck in a Moment and You Can't Get Out. I think that sometimes the brain can malfunction. Even if somebody had fantasies about taking themselves out and felt they never would have done it, they could get trapped in a moment, and especially if they're using something to try to self-medicate. A lot of mental illness, a lot of people are self-medicating, younger people, not so much for party, but just to feel more normal, to feel like they fit in, to feel more relaxed. And very often it looks as if people who very, very determinedly took themselves out had no intention of doing that at all. And that comes through quite a bit, even though, again, they're not making up stories. They tell me all the time, they can't really lie from out there. They're in a very high frequency. There are guides there helping with the communication. They have to be honest. And once in a while, somebody will say it was purposeful. But one thing, I was really blown away many, many years ago. One of the first kids I channeled, he was only 14 years old. And he comes in once in a while because he blew my mind. I was, younger and didn't really know um, how any of this, how it all connected. And he said to his mom, I died from, and they don't usually use that word, but he said he went as if he had a head attack, the same way that somebody would have a heart attack. So we have to remember, and he was really trying to teach us, that the brain is just like any other organ in the body. Your knee can hurt and dysfunction. You can step on your leg, it gives out. If the brain gives out, it's really hard, because if the leg hurts, we use our brain to say, okay, let's go get help for the leg. If the head is hurting or something is malfunctioning in there, we might try and self-medicate and just try and even ourselves out and get away from the despondency or whatever we're feeling. But basically, there's this feeling of just discomfort, and so often, and I'm just getting it from several people who want to tell their parents in this group, that even though it looked as if it was purposeful, they never really truly understood what they were doing or were in their right mind, because the mind was what they were relying on to help them through this, and the mind couldn't do it. So they're fine and they're okay. I have never experienced or channeled in anything other than kindness and compassion for people who have gone out of body, regardless of how they went out of body. The very, very few people who did go out because they were feeling vindictive or angry, or they were suicide bombers or something like that, it isn't even as if it isn't cruel out there, but they're kind of in this limbo with a lack of energy, a lack of light. And it feels as if it was almost like I could see it with a camera, this just massive, like it looked like viscous kind of black, dark jello. It wasn't evil, it wasn't burning, it just was lack of light. And then like the visual panned away, and you could see all these beings all around waiting for the consciousness of these beings so that they could get help. There are some people who end up in a rehab setting so they can understand why they would have done something against their own breath or against their own well-being, and what was the reason for it. So that help is available in a therapeutic setting. But the vast majority, especially of younger people, are a misfire of the brain, even if they were toying with it, even if, sometimes one young man is telling me to tell you that he would toy with it because it gave him control, that he had some control over his life to think about how he would do it, though he didn't plan to do it, but it made him think he had control. And then one day the brain misfired. So not everything is what you see. Um, I don't know if I brought this up last time. I was talking to a mom, and her son he had a big fight with his girlfriend, and he left and he was on his way home and he hit a tree, and that was that. It was just by himself. And his mom started with, "Why would you do that? It would have blown over. Why were you that angry?" And this kid just laughed. And it wasn't a mean laugh. He just laughed and said, Mom, you don't get it. We fought all the time. I'd storm out of there all the time. She knows that's what we do. I love her. She loves me. A squirrel ran across the road. A squirrel ran across the road and I swerved. And that's what happened. So he's still out of body, Mom is still dealing with that, but she said now, whenever she thinks of it, it's his compassion and his sweetness for animals, rather than perceiving this anger that she never really thought he was capable of that kind of thing. So it was really out of compassion. I'm told to tell you that a couple of things, that our kids have missions too. They come through us. We're soul family. They guide us, we guide them, but they have a mission. They have, if they're done with their mission, or if they have an agenda. And I think I would assume the cruelest thing in the world to accept that agenda. And yet, people don't have choices. They don't have choices. So if that's what's happening for somebody, what I've been getting in terms of feedback is that how we talk to them, how we communicate with them is really this incredible. We have the ability to help them on their path for whatever it is that they're learning to do, continuing to do, and wanting to do. If they have dreams they didn't get to do here, they're doing it. If they have artistic talent or a pull towards something, think of the people who are out there that we've known in our history and in our parents' history and way back. There are people out there who are mentoring. They mentor us in body. Out there, they're mentoring. The out-of-body kids, the out-of-body people, they'll continue learning, and very often they're learning for their own expansion and for whatever. There's all kinds of realms out there, energetic realms. But one thing I've heard over and over from especially kids is heaven wouldn't be heaven if we couldn't be with the people we love. I know that in the old days, some people said religiously, you're not supposed to do this. And I would assume that's conjuring or doing some old-fashioned thing. Relaying the love and connecting the love, there could be nothing more sacred. So these kids are really happy to allow us to feel that, and we're collaborating with them. So when you throw them a kiss at night, when you say, hey, how's it going out there? Are you learning about this? You were so wonderful at that. Are you still painting? Do you still love trucks? Do you still like to travel? Do you like to climb? All of those things, these kids are expanding, learning, because why would they stop doing that just because they're not in body? We have this adventure in body, but I don't want to say our home is out of body, because we need to learn how to be at home here, and that's the healthiest way we could be. But why would we be any less out of body when we have so much more expansion? So they're able to ride the wave of this expanded consciousness because they're able to see us. Think of it, they're not suffering the way we do. Parents and people will often ask, do you miss me the same way I miss you? And they say, no. No, they miss the physical life. They miss whatever the relationship is, but they see us. And they're not based on faith. They see us. We're more dense. They see us. They sit next to us. They'll sit on the couch and watch TV with us. They'll watch their favorite movie. They'll hang out. I've actually had, families with the out-of-body kid is arguing with the siblings over what TV show, whether it's a singing one or a dancing one. Oh, I like this one. No, I like that one. And it's really interesting because all of those things that make up our personality are still there. That's one thing I've really learned. I'd be curious to know also, I know I can only see some of you and not all of you, but how many people, especially since having a child go out of body, have you experienced that strange kind of vibration or that feeling of being disembodied or that feeling of going out of body with your child, whether it's asleep or awake? Have a lot of people felt that? Anybody? You know, so it's really it's an interesting thing because it's always available to us. It's always that vibration is available to us, but we have to trust also we're not going to fly out there and not be able to get home. I always start every meditation every day and every session with little mantra of protection, and it's a two-parter. I'm sure I shared this last time. It's protection and intention. The one I use, and if you decide to do this, use all the words that resonate for you. But we clothe ourselves in a robe of light composed of the love, the power, and the wisdom of God. So that's the protection. You could say God, divine consciousness, Mother Nature, whatever it is. The second part is we wear it not only for our own protection, but also so that those who see it or come in contact with it will be drawn to God and healed. We stay porous. We're not putting ourselves in this bubble that's impenetrable energetically. It's a robe of light. It's penetrable, but we're shielded by high vibration. So when we do that, and then we state our intention, I'd like to hear more from so-and-so. I'd love to be able to feel it. I'm going to put my hand here, and I don't want to be too controlling, but if I feel something, direct it however you'd like. Don't make it so difficult that you're going to set yourself up. Your kids are learning along with you, so allow them to do it. But you're setting yourself to be able to feel what's going on and be able to download it. There's no reason why. And again, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong if you're not doing it. Each and every one of us knows how to have that vibrational communication because we came in with it. It is our birthright. So I don't know, I just found it really illuminating and kind of freeing for me to realize that language was a second, oh, cat's jumping up, probably start walking in front here. That English is a second language and that energy was first. And I realized, as soon as I realized that, the channeling sped up. It really did. So, and it's interesting because even though, again, I communicate with words, the downloading of the information is so much faster. Oh, here comes a giant kitty. Say hello. Okay, he's leaving. So the thing is, animals love this, love this, love this. If I'm channeling in the house, they'll be trying to sit on my head. They love that vibration. You know, cats like electricity anyway. They want to be on the computer. So that vibrational fluctuation, they really love it. So some of the ways that we can communicate or perceive communication is just relaxing and allowing. One mom, and wait, the cat is getting into something. Help, help. My husband's going to come and grab the cat before he's trying to get my attention.
Marilyn, can I just jump in really quickly?
Yes.
Because I would love for you to reassure one parent especially. She has one son who passed of an overdose and one who passed of a shooting. And it was very recent. And she's amazing. And she says that she's been told that they might be in a lower level. I know that this is not true, and she just wants to know for sure. So if you could maybe address that.
Okay. The overdose was completely inadvertent. I can feel him right here. It was completely inadvertent. He had been doing these things before. This was not his first time with drugs, correct? I don't know if this person is someone I can look at on my screen.
Yes, I think so. Anna, are you, let's see, is your screen on right now? Sweetie, let's see, I'm just looking. It's Anna Molina, and I don't know where you are, Anna, but I want to unmute you if I can. Anna, where are you?
Yeah, and she's not on my screen, but I would love to hone in.
Maybe Irene can help me, and maybe somebody else can.
I'm looking.
Okay, she's got to be here somewhere because she's been texting, so I know. Did you put your picture on, Anna?
I found her. I asked her to unmute
Okay,
Elizabeth.
good. Thank you.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Oh, here
Okay.
you are. Okay. Good, good, good. I get the one that had the overdose. He's hilarious, isn't he? Like
Yes, he is.
that personality is larger than life, real just bursting with like, the bright eyes, that smile of his. He could light up a room even if he tried to sneak in, right? It
Yes,
just has
yes,
that kind of energy. He's been in
yes.
the brightest little kid. He was curious about everything. He could watch a bug. He was fascinated with everything. He had really good hand-eye coordination when he was in body, yes?
Yes,
Very
yes,
quick,
a lot.
very quick metabolism, understood things very quickly, incredible memory, was able to, photographic memory, but
Oh,
very
yes.
technical photographic memory. Are you feeling him hug you right now? Because he is. He's wrapped around you. This was not the first time he did
Oh,
it. It was inadvertent, and there was a combination of something else in there that he didn't know about. He had more than one thing in his system than he was used to, correct? Do you know?
Oh, are you frozen, Anna?
Oh, yes, it's frozen right now. I'm just going to
I,
keep
I
talking.
knew
Are you there? Okay. It
when
feels,
you said that from the beginning, when you said that from the beginning that he had used other drugs too, that is so true. Yes,
he was a big
he
experiment.
was starting to use.
Yes. And
Yes.
the thing is that part of it was self-medicating, but a part of it is he's just so larger than life, and he's a bit of a party boy in a good way, that vibrant, he loved that rush, that feeling of if he climbed a mountain, if he started to get, I wouldn't say addicted. That's not, he's laughing and he's saying, yeah, don't use that word. I don't like that word. He did not feel as if he was addicted. He did not.
Yeah.
He thought he was in control of the situation. He thought he could take care of himself. And he really would say, I'm not stupid. I know what I'm doing. And he says that he could be an arrogant little you-know-what sometimes. And he says,
Yeah.
he loves you. He's very
That's
respectful.
him.
Oh, he says he's really respectful, except when he wasn't. Because he could have a little mouth, but at the same time, so loving. And in other words, he's one of these kids that he can say it, but if somebody else did, oh boy, that they wouldn't be okay. He's fine. He's not in any low or anything. He is just fine. He's wrapped around you. He has a dog out there with him. Was there a dog that he had
Yeah.
while he was in body that's passed?
Yeah.
And it's not that little a dog, it's
Yes.
a bigger dog, right? That dog is
Yes,
with
it's a
him.
bigger dog.
It's a big dog. That dog is with him. His brother is a
Wow.
completely different situation, so completely different. And this one that went from the drug thing, he's really smart and he really thinks he's pulling one over, but you can read him like a book. You can just, what you see is what you get. That kid couldn't lie even when he tried, but he tried,
I know.
but he's just
Yeah.
too good. He's got that sweetness. The other one, your other son went out through a bullet, yes? That's what you said before there was
Yes.
shooting. It feels as if he was
Yeah.
living things close to the cuff. You didn't know what was going on with him all the time, did you? He's the
Right.
quiet, was he quieter and he didn't share much
He
and
was quieter.
you know,
Yeah, he was much
and
quieter.
and it feels as if he was struggling with, I'm getting it right here, right temporal area. It feels like the wiring was off with him. You're young,
Yeah.
I keep getting that the other one was the younger one or your little one, the drug one. I don't
Yeah,
know
he was the
what
oldest one. He was older.
he's older, because I'm getting him that he's so younger. That's why I'm saying I don't know if it's chronological, because I get this youthful exuberance with the one that went with the drug thing. The other one I
Oh,
got
yeah.
that his brain was, there was something going on in there that made him uncomfortable. And he did have depression, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now you would think it was the other way around, that the one who kind of inflicted it, but he was just trying to make it stop. And it
Yeah.
was out of the blue. It was out of the blue that it happened, yes?
Yeah.
And
It was out of the blue.
he had plans. In fact, he had just figured something out and was planning a new course for his life, hadn't he? There was something
Yes.
going on for
Yes.
him.
He was
He
going
was
back. He was
very,
going to go back to college. He was going to go
yes,
back to school.
he is,
And
He's hugging you. I can feel his energy is very different than his brother's. He's hugging you. And he's saying, and he's putting his hand on your stomach, and he says he wants you to know in your guts. He was so excited about what he had planned. And it feels as if he had tried to get this combination of whatever it is he had, the school or whatever it was. He had tried a couple times. It was really falling into place. It was exactly what he wanted. He didn't want to leave. And then the brain thing started. And you ever notice sometimes he would just make this face? He also got headaches, didn't he? I'm getting
Yeah.
that he
Yeah.
would physically get headaches, and he would get trapped
Yeah.
in there and not know how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And that happened. But it was
Yeah.
absolutely not his intention. And he's laughing. And he says, anyone who would tell you that we're not in a good place is so full of it. It makes him really angry, because he says,
Okay.
I'm just going to repeat it because this is what he's saying. He says, that's a
Yeah.
ton of bullshit, and don't you believe it for a minute.
That's him.
We're
That's him
fine.
talking.
We're 100% fine. And this is the one who would hold back. The other one's gushy all over the place. But this one, and he says, the reason he held back was because he didn't trust himself, because he really did suffer with depression. He had a bit of a manic thing going on, except the high wasn't all that high. He was just kind of low grade, manic.
Yeah.
He says that he feels, he hopes that you can understand it and love him, and he didn't want to cause anyone pain. He came through right away. You felt him right away, didn't you? He says you felt him, the one with the shooting, you felt him right away.
Right away.
You
Right
knew.
away.
He literally passed through your body before he went up. He literally did that. He says you know that, and it makes him really happy. And sometimes you yell at him inside your head, but not out loud, because you don't want people to think you're crazy. But you're arguing with him still, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
I talk to him all the time.
And he loves it. He loves it. Now, it's interesting because the one who went from the drug thing says he's helping his brother feel less responsible, because it isn't that the one with the drug thing doesn't feel responsible for causing people pain, but he is really clear that he didn't do it on purpose. So screw that. I'm not dealing with it. That's his attitude. But that's who he is. That wasn't what I meant.
That's how he is.
And so the other one with the shooting, he's like, hey, what I did to people. So the brother is getting him to calm down and pursue his studies, because this kid is smart. Was he the one shooting? Was he interested in science, math, computer, all that?
Yes. He wanted to become an engineer.
Yes, he's got that engineer brain, and he's hugging you. He says, you can bet he's doing his work, and he channels in. You don't think they have the same archetypes out there of education, of teachers, all that stuff going on. This is like, he's saying to you, like, this is a reflection of what's going on out there. So when you talk to him, you're supporting his growth. And of course, it's heartbreaking for people here, because we're not getting to see the success, but he's doing it. He's doing it. And he's been out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
He's been out a little longer, yes?
Yes.
He's already kind of in postdoctoral work. The kid's really brilliant, but he's pursuing what he wants to pursue. And it's interesting because he wants to tell you right offhand that if somebody had told him he would be into this stuff and channeling, he would have said, that's a load of horseshit, his words. But he's into it because that's how he's communicating, and
that's him talking. Yes.
Oh yeah, that's him, and it's funny because the freewheeling style of the brother, he says, I would be more like that if I didn't have the impairment. He literally had something in the wiring that he felt he couldn't control any other way. And one day it just took its toll. It was not his intention at all. They're vibrant, they're learning. Whose sister is out there? Is there someone, a sister? Who has a sister out there? For your, I don't know if it's yours, but there's somebody out there, they're saying a sister is out there and they're helping her. She had disability and illness.
Yes.
That resonating?
That's my, the one who got shot, his sister, half sister.
Okay.
She's passed.
Okay, because he's talking about the sister is there and helping, and she's okay.
Wow.
He says she's a strange one, but he really loves her, his words. So, but she's a good girl and they're hanging out, you
He
know?
is.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah,
a strange one.
she's wild. They love each other, but this one with the one who was shot, he has that, that engineer brain. Everything is logical, which again,
Yeah.
is usually in body is the last one to agree with all the spiritual stuff, but he says, what the hell, here I am. So yeah, they're both fine and they're with you.
Wow. Okay. Oh my gosh, Marilyn, thank you. That was
Oh,
beautiful.
Anna, I'm so happy for you. And I have another question, and I don't want to just go away from you. She's our Helping Parents Heal en Espanol affiliate leader. She's amazing. We love her so much. But also, I want to just ask, Raylan has 3 children who have passed, and she's asking if they're all together now. And I have already told her yes, but I want you to just affirm that. Obviously, this is something that's very important. So I have other people who are on here as well, private messaging me, asking me to ask you about Raylan.
Okay, are you up on the screen? Can I see you? Let's see.
Raylan, Irene, can you help with
I'm
finding?
looking.
And I can just start talking whether or not she's up here.
Sure, yeah, definitely. Let's see, we'll find her
Well,
for you.
there's, was there one that went out that was younger female, but younger?
Okay, let's see, Raylan. We are trying to find you. So she just wrote, let's see, I'm trying to find her. Oh, here she is. Got you. Raylan, can we ask you to unmute? And then can you speak so we can hear you?
Yep, hi.
Hi.
Hi. Hi. Okay, first thing that's coming in, was there a younger female?
Yes, my daughter.
Yeah, very young, yes?
20, not young, but
Oh, okay.
23.
But is she the younger of the crowd?
She was the middle.
Okay. No, I don't mean in birth order. Okay. She really had her nose in everything, yes? She wanted to know everything about everything, yes?
Yes.
She's very, very curious, wanting to know, like, she says she's a busybody, but I don't perceive her that way. People fascinate her. Did you think she was going to end up being some kind of therapist because everybody would just tell her their problems?
Yes.
You know, she has such an open heart, and she would just, if somebody had a tragedy or something, they would go to her. And it feels like she was probably didn't know really how to take care of herself very much in that way, because she would just give everything she has. That makes sense.
Yep.
And she's very, very, very smart, but sometimes she couldn't discern a situation or if somebody was honest. That makes sense.
Yep.
So she would give people, she's hugging you as we're talking. Yes, they're all together. Again, I'm going to repeat exactly. She's laughing. She does. Does she have an older brother out there who doesn't take any shit? Okay, who's really pragmatic and says, you know what, this is the way it is, and cut out the crap, and we're really going to look at this, because he feels that he thinks of himself as a little dad-like, you know, and in charge of things. And he used to boss you around a little bit, huh? The older son, he would boss you around, not in a mean way, but he's a smart guy and he just really had an opinion. And he feels that they're working, yes, they are most certainly together, because they're working through a whole lot of stuff. And he feels that, do you feel that part of what happened for her had to do with the company she was keeping?
Yes.
Okay. He says that he wants to help her with that, because in denial of it isn't helping her. Taking responsibility for it is only hurting her, because her intention is so pure. She would look at, and your son says you're a little bit like this too, that you see the good in people and that you will give people the benefit of the doubt, even if they, you know, I guess Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, we should believe them. But look, we're compassionate and we want to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I'm being told that this daughter took after you to an extent in terms of camaraderie and love and compassion. But he's trying, the older one, he's trying to help her understand that there was a responsibility working out some kind of, I don't know if it's, you know, a relationship thing or past thing or karmic thing, It was absolutely not her intention to go out. It happened very quickly, correct?
No, she actually committed suicide.
Right, it happened very quickly. It happened from one moment to the, I'm getting
Oh,
sudden
yes,
death.
yes.
It wasn't an
Yes.
illness that dragged on.
No,
But he feels that she didn't trust herself and didn't trust her own instinct and felt that she felt horribly betrayed at that point in time, not by you, but by somebody younger. She felt horribly betrayed. And so it wasn't so much that she harmed herself to get even, to anger, or to try and get a reaction. She felt, and she's explaining this, she felt as if she couldn't trust herself, and it was a knee-jerk reaction. Who the hell am I? If I can't trust myself, I can't get anything right. And you know, she used to get into that state, right? You know that. She used to do that. And you can't watch every second, and that's what happened. So this older brother, and I know you said there were three. There's another one out there. Is the other one male?
yes,
Okay, because I can feel him around. They're all here. But the other one that I'm perceiving, I don't know if he is the oldest one chronologically, but in terms of soul, trying to help, it feels like he's fathering her and trying to help her let go. She's like releasing so much grief because she feels guilty that she hurt you. Now, any emotion you see come through me is from her. And she says she cries a lot because she knows you used to tell her all the time and used to, but it wasn't even anger at anyone else. She was angry at herself because she didn't trust herself. And her brother is helping to teach her, along with guides and people out there, that she can trust herself, that, and she regretted it the minute it happened. Do you know that? She regretted it the minute it happened. Now, the other guy that's out there, he's got a smile that's like the one we didn't talk about yet. He's a little more to himself, but he's got this incredible smile, like this gorgeous, gorgeous smile, right? Just like, he could do a toothpaste commercial or something. And he's charming. He's not bossy. He's just there. And his situation was completely different, wasn't it? He did not contribute to his own going out of body, did he? Consciously, in any way, shape, or form. But he says, Mom, I'm out here to wrangle them and keep an eye on them and make sure they're doing their work, because he feels he's just going about his business, and he liked order, and he liked to have, I don't want to use the word control, but he liked all his little ducks in a row. Yes. Very orderly, very concise. If you want something done, reliable. So he says he's out there watching them. He has a dog. He has a dog. That's cute. Is there a dog about, not like a little less than knee high, that's out there with them? That dog is with them. And your daughter competes with her brothers and says, the dog loves me more than you. And they're horsing around and they're fine. Is there, their dad, there's some drama, not drama. Is there some lack of communication with the dad, or at least for the daughter? She's working on that. She wants a breakthrough on that. And she feels as if some of them, we follow the patterns. She wants to tell you, and she says the oldest, the one that's helping her, really helped her with this, but she's the one who's saying it, even though he's the one who helped her with it, is that we repeat patterns and we don't even know we're repeating them. Sometimes the cognizant thing of what our reactive nature, we do what we were taught to do without fully having consciousness about it. And she likes to think that she was coming into her consciousness, but at the moment that happened, it was a gut reaction, literally a gut reaction. And so they have the stability of this other brother out there. One is the teacher, but then the other one is just smiling, and he is steady as a rock, and they're doing fine. But one of their biggest concerns, they feel like you're fine. They're heartbroken that you're heartbroken, but they're there, and you talk to them, and you eat things for them sometimes, don't you? I never heard that one before. You will literally, they will want something and you'll take a bite and go, there you go. They are with you. They trust that and that you're on board with them. But there's a dad out there who's very shut down, who's still in body, correct? Is that he's still in body, who is paralyzed and can't, he might walk and talk and maybe even go to work, though nobody is these days, but He's really, his heart, it's like it's petrified, and it's almost like he can't even take responsibility for his own breath. So they're really working on him. And your daughter just laughed and said, whether or not you think he deserves it, he's the one we really have to work on, because they know. But the thing is, he's suffering so much. And your daughter just said, you miss us in the physical, but you have us. The love is flowing all the time with us. So you can breathe. It doesn't, we're not saying it's easy, they're saying. They know, but your reality, and also, you've always seen and felt out of body people, haven't you? So this isn't, when it's your kids, I'm sure it's really different, but this is not a language that is foreign to you. So because they don't, your daughter's laughing and she says, you might get mad that we're giving him all that attention because you don't need it the same way, but we play with you. We are having our joyful interaction with you all the time. He's still part of the soul family that we came in through. So we're trying to alter it so that he can do some of that work here rather than out here. Plus, we want to get him more conscious. We don't want him coming out here to us the way he is now, because he's pretty hard-headed. So that's what they're doing. So they have a project going on, but they're with you, and they love the singing shows. You know that, right? They love those singing shows. If you want to put on a singing show and just sit and zone out, you'll hear them arguing with each other about who they like. You will. It's what they love to do. So they're all together. They are not in a low vibration. They are really pretty high up. They've really allowed for, your daughter says she's even learning how to forgive herself, but she's still kind of in the midst of it. She wished she was able to not do it. But, again, her brother is teaching her that there was something literally going on for her. So, yeah.
Marilyn, thank you so much for this. I just have to tell you, because we don't have a lot of time left, I have a lot of people asking if you have any space for readings for people to be able to contact you. Is it possible to maybe let us know what your availability is?
Yes,
And,
because I've gotten a lot of people wanting sessions since the last time. And I'll be really honest, I haven't gotten back to anyone in this group yet. There's a lot going on just personally and with COVID and with, and I'm just backed up with other people. But it is not for lack of hearing. So when I look at these and I scroll through them and I take notes, I hear them. So it isn't because of their lack of trying. Usually I always go in the order that they ask me to. Right now, I'm the cause of delay for some of it. I will get back to everyone. I don't know how long it'll take. I will do it as fast as I can. And I'm happy to come back as many times as you want me to, because I love doing this. So if
we want you back as soon as you can. So if you can come back next month, we will definitely be so excited to have you. And I just I just want everyone here to know that all of our kids are not only together, but they're happy, healthy, and whole. They're having a blast. They love it when we have these meetings. They love to see us together. They love hearing you telling us how we can communicate with them. And tomorrow night, I just wanted to say, a lot of people have asked about channeling. We have Mary Burton, who's written the 21-day, Doorway Across the Veil. And she teaches parents to channel. She's one of our affiliate leaders. And I know that she would love to have people join her. That's going to be at 11 o'clock Central Time tomorrow. So if you're not signed up for that, please stop in so that you'll be able to hear about how we can connect ourselves with our kids, which is really wonderful. But Marilyn, you're such a bright light. And I feel so grateful that you were willing to come tonight and that you're going to be coming back as well.
I'm so grateful too. And I've been directing, again, I did not know about your group. I've talked to some people at Compassionate Friends and different groups. This is unbelievable. I've been telling so many of my clients about your group because it's what everyone is looking for. I'm just so grateful you're doing this. And it's just this wonderful feeling to be a part of the rising up, the expansion. We're all in this, this situation, and it's all about love. It's all about love, and the communication continues always.
It's all about love. Exactly.
Always.
This whole journey is about love. We're still here in school, all of us, and our kids are home and they're helping us learn. and they're
Yep.
learning themselves over there, which is so exciting to hear all about these wonderful things that they're learning as well. So I wanted to make sure that everyone is able to say thank you and goodbye. And I
Yeah,
know Irene
everyone's
has
unmuted.
probably,
Yes.
okay.
Thank
has
you, Marilyn. What a
unmuted.
great night.
That
Thank you
was
so
just,
much.
that was just so wonderful.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we'll
Thank
see you
you.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Night,
I'm
Thank you,
so
Philip.
happy.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias. I'm
Thank
so
you.